Guys, this is Wednesday's class, June, let's see, the 3rd for 6 o'clock. And so since some of you wanted a video of the class, I thought it might be easier to go ahead and I'll go ahead and record the class and you can watch it on your own time, or you can join us live during class. You can always join our Collaborate meeting live at 6 o'clock on Monday and Wednesdays, and that's when I can help you with questions. I can work out problems for you. If you got an answer different than me and you're not sure how, chances are I was wrong, or if you're confused, you can always join and ask me any question. Just make sure that you do complete all your tests when they're scheduled. On test day, you have to go on to Collaborate at 6 o'clock and do those tests live, okay? All right, so tonight's class is adding and subtracting fractions, and anytime you add or subtract fractions, they must have common denominators. So if you see example 1, A and B, well, all of these on this page, they all have common denominators. And another thing they all have in common is they are all proper nouns. Now, all proper nouns, that just simply means that the numerator is smaller than the denominator. Let me get my pen on here. Is it on? Nope. All right, let me go ahead and do this. All right. So all proper nouns can be found on a number line between 0 and 1. 5/12 is a little less than 1/2, so that's between 0 and 1. 2/12 is closer to 0, but it's still a positive number between 0 and 1. So any fraction where the numerator, even if it's something like, I don't know, why are you doing that? Stop it. Even if it's like 99/100, since the numerator is smaller than the denominator, that number right there is still less than 1. So a lot of people don't like fractions, they don't understand them. So anyway, that's a very fast, simple explanation of fractions. All right, so anyway, so since A and B both have common denominators, we're going to keep the denominators part of our answer, and all we need to do is add 5 and 2. So 5 plus 2 is 7. 7. And since 7 and 12 don't have any common factors, we're done. 7/12 is the final answer. Letter B, our denominator is 8. We're going to add 7 and 3 and we get 10. So the first thing I notice is that they're both even, which means both of them are divisible by 2. So I'm going to divide 10 and 8 both by 2. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now that's an improper fraction. This means this number is greater than 1. So we're going to convert all improper fractions to mixed numbers. So the way you do that is always you divide the top number by the bottom number. 4 goes into 5 one whole time. And then your remainder becomes your new numerator. And the denominator stays what it was. It never changes, okay? So 1 1/4 is the final answer. So moving on. Example 2, we're going to subtract this time. They already have common denominators. So we're going to keep the denominator of 8. And then we subtract 5 minus 1 and get 4. Both of those numbers are divisible by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. And so that is our final answer. Letter B, our denominator is 12. And now we're going to subtract 11 minus 7 and we get 4. Both of those numbers are divisible by 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. And our final answer is 1/3. Number 3, perform the indicated operations, write your answer in simplest form, and then right after number 3, I gave you more practice problems. So I would like for you guys to go ahead and pause the video, go ahead and work these out on your own, and then jump back in the video to check your answers. So for 3a, our denominator is 9. Stop it. Nope. Sorry, guys. My pen don't like those circular movements. All right, so 4 plus 2 is 6. So 6/9. Both of those numbers are divisible by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 9 divided by 3 is 3. My answer is 2/3. Letter B, our denominator is 13. 12 minus 6 is 6. Those don't have any common factors, and it's a proper fraction, so we're done. Number 1, under your practice problems, you have a denominator of 8. 5 plus 4 is 9. That's improper. Stop it. 9. Now 8 goes into 9 one time with a remainder of 1 over 8. So 1 1/8 is your final answer. Letter B, your denominator is 3. 4 minus 1 is 3. And if I divide 3 by 3, I get 1. That's my final answer. Letter C, 2 plus 3 is 5 over 10. Both of those are divisible by 5. So my final answer is 1/2. Letter D, I'm going to use my denominator of 22. 7 plus 5 is 12. I can divide both of those numbers by 2. So my final answer is 6 over 11. Letter E, our denominator is 17. We're going to subtract 12 minus 3 and get 9. They don't have any common factors, and it's a proper fraction, so we're done. Moving on. Now, starting these next few problems, these do not have common denominators. So you cannot add or subtract without having common denominators. So one way to always get a common denominator is simply by multiplying the two numbers together. So if we multiply 2 times 3, we get 6. So we're going to change both of our denominators to 6. Now, let's look at B real quick. Now, if we multiply 8 and 6 together, we'll get a common denominator of 48. But it's not the least common multiple. 48 will work, but when we're done, if we solve it that way, we're going to end up having to simplify our answer, which is no big deal. But when I multiply 2 times 3 for letter A, I happen to get the least common multiple of 2 and 3. 2 and 3. The least common multiple is 6. So sometimes just by multiplying them, you'll have the least common multiple, but sometimes you won't. But either way you do it, if you as long as you have a common multiple, you're still going to get the correct answer eventually by using a common denominator, even if it's not the least common denominator. All right, now you can never, ever, ever multiply or change the bottom number without changing the top number because we don't want to change its value. So how do we get from 2 to 6? You get from 2 to 6 by multiplying by 3. Well, if we multiply the bottom by 3, we have to multiply the numerator by 3. We have to multiply the, oh my word, we have to multiply 1 times 3. Stop it. Why is it doing that? All right, so 1 times 3 is 3. If I make a box. I wish it would let me stop it from doing that, but it's not going to let me. All right, so 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 1 is 3. There. All right, so how do we get from 3 to 6? We multiply by 2. So whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So on the top, we're going to multiply 2 times 2, and we get 4. Now, since our denominators are the same, we're going to keep that as part of our answer. 4 plus 3 is 7. And then to turn that into a mixed number, we divide 7 by 6. 6 goes into 7 one whole time with a remainder of 1 over 6. And that's our final answer. Letter B, like I said, we can get common denominators by multiplying 8 and 6 and using 48. However, if we list the multiples of 8, and 6, we will see that our least common multiple is 24. So that's what I want to use, 24. Whoa, I messed that up. Nope. 24. There we go, finally. Now, whatever you can't just change the denominator without changing the numerator. So how do we get from 8 to 24? Well, we multiply by 3. So if we multiply the bottom by 3, we have to multiply the top by 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. So how do we get from 6 to 24? We multiply 6 times 4. If we multiply the bottom by 4, we're going to multiply the top by 4. So 4 times 5 is 20. So 20 plus 9 is 29 over 24. Now that is, first of all, they have no common factors. However, I can divide 29 by 24. 24 will go into 29 one time, and our remainder is 5. So 5 over 24. 1 and 5/24 is our final answer. Example 5, let me get rid of all this. Go away. All right, let's look at example 5, letter A. We have already talked about our least common multiple of 3 and 2 is 6. So we're going to use 6 minus something over 6. So 3 times 2 is 6. So if we multiply the bottom by 2, we multiply the top by 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Nope, quit. All right, and then how do we get from 2 to 6? We multiply 2 times 3. So we're going to multiply the numerator by 3. And 3 times 1 is 3. So 4 minus 3 is 1, and our denominator stays as 6. Letter B, we could multiply 4 and 5 together, and we get 20, which happens to be the least common multiple between 4 and 5. So we have to change the numerator since we changed the denominator. So 4 times 5. 4 times 5 is 20. So 3 times 5 is 15. 5 times 4 is 20. So 2 times 4 is 8. Our denominator stays at 20, and 15 minus 8 is 7. And that's our answer. So here are some practice problems. So once again, I would like for you guys to make sure you read the directions, pause the video, try these problems out, and then come on back and check your answers. All right, so 7 and 9, if I multiply 7 and 9 together, I get 63. So that's our least common multiple, 63. So 7 times 9 is 63. So I'm going to multiply 5 times 9. Oh my goodness, the stupid thing. I guess I have to make a block for my 9. 9. All right, 9 times 5, nope. 9 times 5 is 45. Y'all just pretend that's a 9. And 9 times what is 63? Well, times 7. So I multiply 4 times 7 and I get 28. Ooh, these numbers are going to get big. 63 is our denominator. With my calculator, I'm going to add 45 plus 28 and I get 73. So how many times will 63 go into 73? Exactly 10 times. Well, not exactly 10 times. Wait, what am I saying? No. So 73, one time, excuse me. One time with 10 left over. I've totally forgot what I was talking about. So since the numerator is 10, then the remainder is 10. That means our numerator is 10. All right, so anyway, if you can't read that, it says 1 and 10 over 63. So then for letter B, if we multiply 5 and 3 together, we're going to get 15. So 3 times 5, so I'm going to multiply the bottom and the top by 3. So 3 times 4 is 12. And since I multiplied 3 by 5 to get 15, I have to multiply the numerator by 5. And so 12 minus 5 is 7 over 15, and that is simplified. We're going to use 15 again for letter C. Let me put a little box over here. So 3 times 5 is 15. So 5 times 2 is 10. Since we multiplied 5 times 3 to get 15, we're multiplying 3 times 3 and we get 9. So 10 plus 9 is 19 over 15. How many times will 15 go into 19? It'll go 1 time with 4 left over. So our final answer is 1 and 4/15. Letter D, will 12 go into 24? Yes, it will. So how many times will 12 go into 24? Well, since it will go twice, that's what we have to multiply our numerator by. So 12 times 2 is 24. So multiply 7 times 2 and we get 14. Now look, did our denominator change right here? No, it did not. If the denominator doesn't change, the numerator won't change. So then you add 14 and 5 and you get 19 over 24. So I know that 19 is a prime number. So I know this can't be divided any further, and that is the final answer. All right, so what will 7 and 5 both go into? I could write down the multiples, or if I just multiply them together, I get 35, which happens to be the least common denominator, or least common multiple of 5 and 7. So 5 times 7 is 35, so 4 times 7 is 28. 7 times 5 is 35, so I'm going to multiply 5 times 3 and get 15. My denominator is part of my answer. 28 minus 15 is 13, and that is simplified. All right, so let's go over our rules for can I get rid of this? Can I move myself? Yes, I can. There. All right, so rules for adding or subtracting fractions. To add or subtract fractions with like denominators, you simply add or subtract the numerators as indicated and place over the denominator. Always reduce if possible. If you're going to add or subtract fractions with unlike denominators, you obtain a common denominator, then follow step 1 above. Be sure to reduce if possible. So you guys know how we've just done problems, so that just a reminder for your directions. Now here, these both are mixed numbers, and it wants us to add letter A and subtract letter B. So just like we did earlier, we have to find a common denominator. Now, before you add mixed numbers, though, you do want to turn them into before you add mixed numbers, you do want to change them into improper fractions. So remember how we do that? We kind of go around the world. We multiply 5 times 1, and then we're going to add the 1. We're going to multiply 5 times 1 and add 1. So 5 times 5 is 5, plus 1 is 6. So 6, and the denominator doesn't change. And then 2 and 2/3 becomes 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. 8/3. Now we have them changed to improper fractions, but now they must have common denominators. Well, the least common multiple of 5 and 3 is 15. So we went from 5 to 15. So 5 times 3 is 15. So we're going to multiply 6 times 3 and get 18. Well, 3 times 5 is 15. So we're going to multiply 8 times 5 and get 40. So now we're going to multiply. No, we're not. We're going to simply bring over our denominator. And then we're going to add 18 and 40, and we get 58. And then I know that 15 times 3 is 45. So if we use 45, yeah. So that means that 15 will go into 15 will go into 58. Let's go ahead and write it out like that. So if I multiply 15 times 3, I get 45. So then if I subtract, I have a remainder of 13. So it goes 3 full times with a remainder of 13 over 15. And that's my final answer. So that involves a lot more work. You make them in proper fractions first, then you find common denominators, and then you simplify your answer. All right, so for letter B, our least common multiple of 5 and 6 is 30. So first, let's put some space. Well, let's go ahead. I mean, we could make them 30s first, or like I did, if I want to do the same pattern, I'm going to go ahead and turn them into improper fractions first. So we're going to multiply 4 times 5. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 3 is 23. So 23 fifths minus 6 times 1 is 6. 6 plus 5 is 11. 11 sixths. And now we want to know what our least common multiple is, and it's 30. So 5 times 6 is 30. So 6 times 23, I'm going to use my calculator, 23 times 6, 23 times 6 is 138. 138. And then 6 times 5 is 30. So I'm going to multiply 11 times 5 and I get 55. So now I'm going to subtract my numerator. So 138 minus 55 is 83. I know that 3 times 2 is 6. So 3 times 20 is, 3 times 20 is 60. I know 3 times 3 is 9. So 30 times 3 is 9. So 3 is too much. So I'm going to use 2, a whole number 2. And then if I subtract 60 from 83, I get a remainder of 23 over 30. 23 is prime, which means that cannot be simplified. So my final answer for that one is, for example 7, my final answer is 2 and 23 over 30. All right, so it says you try, and then let me see, did I give you more problems to do? Yeah, I gave you 2 slides worth of practice problems to try. So go ahead and try number 8 on your own, and then try the next page, which is number 3 on your own, practice problems. And then pause your video, try those on your own, and then jump back on here to see if you got the right answer. So number 8A, we're going to make this improper. So 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13 thirds. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7 fourths. Our least common multiple is 12. So 3 times 4 is 12, so 13 times 4 is 52. 4 times 3 is 12, so 7 times 3 is 21. So 52 minus 21 is 31. So 31 over 12. I know that 12 will go into 31 2 times. So 2 times 12 is 24, which means the remainder of 24 from 31 is 7. So 2 and 7/12 is the final answer. B, we're going to do 2 times 6 is 12, plus 1 is 13 halves, plus 24, so 29 eighths. 2 will go into 8, so we're going to use a denominator of 8. Since this one doesn't change, our numerator is going to stay 29. So 2 times 4 is 8, so 13 times 4. 13 times 4 is 52. So we're going to add 52 plus 29, and we get 81. 81 over 8. Well, 8 will go into 81 10 times. 8 times 10 is 80, so our remainder is 1. So 10 and 1/8. The next page, number 3, 7 times 8 is 56. So, oh wait, hold on, let's do improper fractions first. So 7 times 1 is 7, plus 3 is 10/7, plus 16, 17, 18, 19/8 equals something over 56, plus something over 56. Well, 8 times 7 is 56, so 8 times 10 is 80. 7 times 8 is 56, so 19 times 7 is 133. So our denominator is 56. 133 plus 80 is 213. So 56 will go into 213 3 full times. Oops. 3 full times. Well, 56 times 3 is 168. 168 from 213 is a remainder of 45. So 45 over 56 is our final answer. So letter B, we have 2 times 5 is 10, plus 4 is 14/5. 3 4/3. So our least common multiple is 15. So 5 times 3 is 15. 14 times 3 is 42. So 3 times 5 is 15. 5 times 4 is 20. So we're going to subtract. And 42 minus 20 is 22. 15 will go into 22 one whole time with 7 left over. Letter C, we have 9, 10, 11/3 plus 8/5. Let me move me again. Our least common multiple is 15. 3 times 5 is 15, so 5 times 11 is 55. 5 times 15 is 3, so 8 times 3 is 24. Our denominator is 15. So we have 55 plus 24, and we get 79. 15 can go into 79 5 times. So 15 times 5 is 75, which means there's a remainder of 4 over 15. So then for letter D, we're going to go around the world. So 2 times 12 is 24, and 24 plus 7 is 31. So we have 31, where'd my pen go? 31 over 12. Hi. Sorry, my son just got home. And then what was I doing? So we have 31 over 12, and then we're going to add. So 24 times 3 is 72. 72 plus 5 is 77. So we have 77 over 24. We have 12 times 2 is 24. So 31 times 2 is 62. And then we're going to add 77 plus 62. So we have 139 over 24. So 139, the 24 will go into it 5 times. And then 24 times 5 is 120, which means our remainder is 19 over 24. And that's our final answer. And then one more. This is exhausting. So we're going to multiply 4 times 5 and get 20, plus 4 is 24/5, minus 14, 15, 16, 17/7. And then our least common multiple would be 35. So 24 times 7 is 168. Where's my pen? Here it is. 168. 17 times 5 is 85. So 168 minus 85 is 83. So we have 83 over 35. Whoops. 35, I know 35 times 2 is 70, which means we'd have a remainder of 13 over 35. All right, I'm going to pause it here for a minute, and then I will send you another video for the rest of it.